Okay. Yeah. Hello. Welcome to Network Roundtable. I've been spending the last little while trying to figure out Gremlins. Yeah, Cheryl, you called it. So there's no comment tracker, so we're not going to screen share your comments. We'll just talk about them. And we love that you're making comments, but yeah, Gremlins. Anyway, I think that was a perfect entry to this week's show, because this week's show's all about acceptance. And yeah, if you're going to do Hangouts on air, you better accept. Just saying. So this week we have Elaine Nieberding and Robin Holland. And these two people are amazing. We've had some great fun getting ready for this show. What I'm going to do, obviously, is the same thing that I do pretty much every time. We're going to turn this over to Elaine to love all over Robin. And then we're going to let Robin tell you about why Elaine is so awesome. Elaine, take it away.
Wow. So as I'm beginning to speak, the sun is shining ever brighter on my face and reminding me that Robin is a reflection of me. And so when I see Robin shine, I'm seeing my shine. And when I'm seeing Robin gracefully talk about the challenges with her family, things that come up, I see, it's my grace too. When I see Robin keeping her focus on a new training program, I'm reminded, wow, I have focus too, maybe even more than I think. Now, I love Robin because she's my coastal alter ego. We both joined in learning about Hangouts about the same time last year, and it was in the context of a course and a community that we got to know each other. In fact, I think I was sitting in the lobby of my parents' retirement community, and I don't know, for some reason I was compelled to get acquainted with someone else in the community. And she was there. And she was willing, she was accepting, of kind of a new stranger just kind of popping in and saying hi, and willing to kind of, hold hands as we went through learning something new together. I love Robin because she is courageous. I love Robin because she is resilient. I love Robin because, like me, she's a seamstress. And when I learned about that just the other day, I said, no, it can't be seamstress. It must be seam play. Ha 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 ha. And so in the last couple days, we came up for this idea. We wanted to honor one of our Hangout community friends who's due to have a baby. So we whipped up an impromptu shower. And maybe Robin will at some point tell you about what she gleaned from that experience. But anyway, that seems like a good start for just sharing, glomming on Robin.
Well, thank you, Elaine. I love Elaine because she always reflects back to me the possibilities of seeing things in a new way and capturing inside my essence, which is joyful and shining despite what's going on around me. And sometimes that's because we go with laughter yoga, which she's becoming famous for. And the other day I played that back to her. I started laughing when she was serious, and it caught her by surprise. That was so much fun. So Elaine, one day recently, we were talking, and all of a sudden I said, wait, I have to catch that, because she was articulating beautifully her mission and how she envisions the world, and it was so fun to be a co-creator with her and capture that mission, which is, I think you said, I envision a world in which people, what's that one word, unified solutions, together find that they can create unified solutions through play. And I tend to be overly serious. I love about connecting with Elaine is that we can go to a joyful place and a place of play and create something which comes from our essence, which is the essence we all have. There is a bright and shiny and effervescent even essence inside of all of us, and we get sometimes mired in the trudge. So what I love about Elaine is being able to play with words, being able to change the end of a word and put an ing on it and have it become right now, like accepting, like she said. And I could go on and on, but at this point I'll stop and just say I absolutely love being that, what did she say, coastal alter ego.
Good stuff. All right. Well, I was going to do a clapping thing right there, but yeah, Gremlins couldn't get it open. So I can use my hands. See that? All right. Stephanie, I've totally not let you say a word this whole time. What do you got to share at this point?
Well, it was interesting because I had not met Elaine or Robin prior to knowing that they were going to be part of the show. So Monday was my first physical experience of Elaine and Robin, and I love this idea that Robin mentioned about creating something through play. And I know it's Elaine's idea, but I like your take on it, Robin, because I think I come down maybe more on your side. I tend to be more serious. I tend to think through the possibilities and worry sometimes about things that don't need to be worried about. And so I'm really excited because I think if I think about what acceptance, which is today's topic, is often perceived as, I think a lot of times it's perceived as something you have to carry around. You know, it's a burden. Well, I just have to accept this. I just have to find a way to live with this, which I would really love to hear from you guys how we can change it from being something heavy, something that weighs on people, into something that's actually light and playful. So maybe, since Elaine, I know you love to laugh, do you have a different vision of acceptance than mine?
I would say so, yes. And it's, though, because I read somewhere recently that a book that you found some great value in was Byron Katie's work, Loving What Is. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Doesn't mean I'm good at it. It just means I liked it.
Okay. Then it means if you're even attracted to beginning examining loving what is, I mean, that's what acceptance or accepting is. And I would dare to say, you know, we all have days where things seem to be going well. We seem to be going in the flow. And so we're saying yes to our yeses because it's all kind of flowing. You know, and then when we meet up with an experience, be it a client, you know, something either on the outside or something we're experiencing on the inside, and we feel a contraction, or we hear that inner critic speaking very loudly, very, 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 very loudly. Accepting to me means being willing to greet everything and just kind of be curious. Like, where's the divine here behind the outpicturing of it? And dare to be curious about it, because it is there. Some of you may know that that I have been a hospital bedside nurse. In fact, I worked in oncology. And I was working in bedside nursing at least part-time last year up until December. And I got clear it was time for me to leave bedside nursing. My gifts to the world were, that wasn't the best place to share them. But when you are a floor nurse, you typically start your day with an assignment, say 5 patients. And you don't know who you're going to get. You're going to get who you get. And there may be some with, when it comes to physical things, the number of treatments or procedures that you have to do, drugs to give, dressings to change, you know, there might be a lot, it seems, to tend to with some, and with others not so much. But yet, every patient that you have doesn't just have physical things that have to be tended to. They have emotional, mental, and spiritual needs that if you're functioning as a holistic nurse, and that is the way I identified and actually had some extra training in, it brought with me a mindset of how to really greet every patient in this way. And that is, as I walk through the door, I would remember the core of me, you know, my soul, my spirit, my highest wisdom, my goodness, my whole unassailed energy body, my holy self. And if I could walk through the door and remember that with every patient, no matter what was going on the outside, and in fact, no matter even what was measurable by some form of metric, or even observable, that behind that outer picture is that same holy stuff. And if I walk through the door remembering that, then I would move into that space of trusting that my reason and my intuition, my right and my left brain would marry, and I would allow myself to be present with that patient in the way that would be the most helpful and healing, not only for them, but for me. And so it's like you'd have to drop your thinking self that you know everything about what you have to do when you walk through that door, and really be open to being a healing presence. I remember occasions where I would get a report of having a patient, maybe they were an IV drug abuser, and on the previous shift, the nurse would say, and they were kind of combative, so, you know, be really, really careful, as well as, you know, do all the stuff that you've got to do that's on the care plan. And from the place of accepting the highest truth about that patient, which is the holy stuff that's underneath all the core of the physical body and all the apparent drama that's going on with why they're in the hospital, if I remember that holy stuff, then I don't have to walk in fear, because I know the right response will come through. And I remember with 1 or 2 difficult combative patients, I walked through the door remembering that, and I would not be putting off a defensive vibe at all. And so I would consciously, if any little thing that they would do kind of right or non-abusive or helpful to themselves, I would notice it and give them positive reinforcement. Because sometimes people who have criminal backgrounds and a whole lot of crap has happened in their life, and they have bad relationships with most human beings, they get very little positive reinforcement for just being human. And when you start giving off some of that good stuff, because you're just accepting and you're loving and you're not afraid, it would be amazing in a day how people would come around and they would start cooperating with their treatment plan. Or they might even say, like, I think I got sick to come into the hospital to have, for you to be my nurse because I feel accepted for the first time in a long time. So it's that same dynamic that you can really bring to anything. Earlier this year, I learned a method called the release technique. The guy who's, you'll often see online teaching it is a guy named Larry Crane. And this release system is a way of having dialogue with whatever resistance is coming up and basically saying to it, I love you. I love you even more. I love you even more. And then you find when stuff is met with love, it can be set free to reconfigure itself. So whether that's an energy pattern or whether that's it's a crazy thought form we have about our business and, gee, I'm supposed to do it this way, or other people think success in my business would look good this way. Well, I can just relax about it and just say, today and in this moment, I can experience my abundance. And it's not dependent on me getting 5 more clients today. That might look good. That might happen, and that might be in the flow of my unfolding service to the world. But if I just dare to say, nothing is withheld from me now, then I can be in that vibe that's really going to attract to me everything I need for my unfolding service. Well, that was kind of long-winded, but I get that way sometimes. Well, I accept myself fully for it.
Well, and that's what's interesting, I think, about what you said is what I heard from each of those stories, and even what you said explicitly, is this notion of acceptance having a lot to do with not judging, right? That you, and whether it's, as you said, accepting yourself so that you don't listen to the inner critic, or accepting somebody else, we all have to be able to get to a point where we're comfortable enough with ourselves that we can be in a space and just observe. Because when we rush to judgment, I think that's when it's, oh, look at that. I think that's when when things go wrong, right?
Yeah. Often, if I'm dealing with an outer circumstance or another person, or even an emotional response, I might just say, look, let me not judge it as good or bad. Let me just put it neutral. It just is what it is. It just is what it is. And as human beings, mostly, because we have a thought in our mind about who I am or what my business needs or this or that, we then, in anything that shows up in our life, by the belief systems we have in play, we're assigning meaning to what it is. So when we step out of judgment, we're simply saying, in the moment, I'm willing to just throw out the definition that I thought was important for feeling a sense of safety, approval, or control. And then get curious. Or, again, when it comes to practices like laughter yoga, do some, if you're getting too mental about it, do something physical that shifts your body chemistry and lightens you up. So that's why this practice of intentional practice laughter, that is called laughter yoga, laughter wellness, laughter meditation, depending on who's presenting it, is such a helpful thing to do, to shift and say, man, I am just taking all of this too seriously because I think something is threatened.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it's something else. And we can get through it. And maybe even have fun. let me tell you, I know people who take laughter yoga into like post-trauma zones, where there's been devastation from tsunami or flooding, and the physical difficulty that's there with a new living circumstance or a loss of a home can be so devastating. But guess what? They can, with this just a little willingness to play, begin to shift and begin to experience that even in the midst of devastation, they can feel some joy again, or they can feel some connection again. So yeah, I'll let somebody else talk.
Well, and that's interesting because I think, when I think back about some difficult experiences that I've had, it's true that if you had someone you could share it with, and even if the joke had nothing to do with the situation at hand or anything else, a lot of times the fact that you don't have to think about that situation, even for the 30 seconds it takes you to listen to the joke and laugh about it, is such a relief. So I like that. It's funny I hadn't made the connection before, but I really appreciate that point of view. And Robin, since you and I seem to be a little on the same side here with taking things too seriously, is there a way, maybe something that you've used, a technique or something like that helps you get out of that, I feel I'm being too serious now, and here's how I can catch myself and make a change?
Yeah, there's pretty much anything you can do to interrupt your pattern will do it. Something ridiculous is awesome. Saying something stupid, allowing yourself to do something outrageous, just standing up and doing something ridiculous that might be in front of someone else. I think that's a good one. Last night, my husband was actually feeling stressed. He had too many things he needed to do, and so I started laughing. I actually just put the whole laughing thing on, and it was like 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. He was laughing so hard he was crying, and he didn't know what happened to him. So I think this is pattern interrupt. I mean, Anthony Robbins would take a glass of water and just dump it over someone's head. Anything to get it to change, like right then.
Yeah. In our house, it's the raspberry. If something goes wrong, it's like until you can at least stop, like wanting to strangle or throw or scream. But yeah, I mean, I find it very interesting that as business owners, I think we have this impression, this pressure to be serious, right? Because it's a serious enterprise, and I'm trying to support my family, and there's all this pressure. But ultimately, what you said, which really made sense to me, Elaine, is that your thoughts are just thoughts, right? If, oh my gosh, I might not get that job, or oh my gosh, this employee might leave, or what if I can't pay my bills at the end of the month? If you turn them into something and you think about them and say to yourself, and that would be really bad, and oh my gosh, my wife might leave me, or my kids won't go to college, if you ruminate on it, then you can turn it into something really big. But if you just recognize it and say, well, that's interesting, I wonder why I thought about that now. That also seems to me to be a good way to change the focus. Instead of focusing on the content of the thought, you start focusing on, that's really weird, where did that come from?
Stephanie, as you're mentioning that, it made me think about the particular method that Byron Katie has us do in this stuff called the work, where you're examining your thoughts, or you're examining your response to something else, and whatever it is showing up there that you have a judgment about is only showing up because it's kind of a reflection of your own thinking or what you value, even subconsciously. And it's in front of you, so you can look at it in a different way. So just as you were saying a minute ago, what if my employee left? Or, oh my God, if my employee left, I would be devastated. Well, Byron Katie always says, is that true? Can you know that that's absolutely true? And the truth is, you never can say absolutely that you know. You're not that omniscient. You could think certain trends and patterns might mean something, but if you get curious, in any way that you know to get into, perhaps access a higher level of wisdom through meditation, through whatever you use, you might get a gleaning. And then again, right in the moment, if you could ask, what's the divine thing happening? What's the presence of love that's presenting itself looking like X, Y, or Z? And, let me be curious. And that gets us back to the childlike, playful self. Babies start laughing between a month and 2 months old. It's not conditioned laughter. They haven't had enough experience in the world to understand jokes. They laugh, and they express this for the joy of being alive. And then, everybody gets older, and then there's societal and cultural norms and expectations, and little by little, in many cultures, our sense of play gets conditioned out of us. And so wise companies, like, some of the Silicon Valley companies, man, they design their work environments for people to play. They do. Because they know creative engagement can come about through these connections that can happen when people start playing. And slowly, there are some corporate environments that are actually bringing laughter yoga in, having teams that even, people that don't get along do some of this laughing together. Well, it's the universal human language. And when you're doing it, when you're not laughing at a joke, you're just laughing for the health of it, or you're pretending to drink a laughter milkshake. And everybody starts doing it, and when they start doing it, maybe it's like, oh my God, this is so stupid. How can I pretend to laugh? After a couple minutes, because your body is wired with these things called mirror neurons, it just keeps laughing, and it feels good.
Yeah. Well, and I love what you mentioned about joy, and about how as we get older, we lose it, right? We lose touch necessarily with the things that bring us joy and with expressing it. It's something that a very good friend of ours, and someone I think most people on the Plus probably know, Jess Duell and Nora Whalen, they talk a ton about the fact that your business should be fun, right? I mean, ultimately, when you got into business for yourself, you probably didn't see it as a less risky proposition than having a job. Most people are aware that having a salary is probably safer than starting your own business. So you weren't looking for security when you started your business. What were you looking for? Well, a lot of people were looking for freedom, but ultimately they were also looking for control of their own future, the ability to enjoy things when they wanted to, right? And I think, unfortunately, we get into our own businesses and we put on the hat that we wore, that we see everybody else wearing, or that we wore when we were an employee, and we're like, oh, this is what it looks like. It's in this box, and I have to wear gray. Although I am wearing gray today, but it looks like this, and this is what business is, and it's serious. And I think I'm very bad at it. So I would love to hear from both of you, you and Robin, what we can do to bring more joy to our business, not just in the difficult moments, but every day. Are there techniques we can use to appreciate being in business for ourselves so that we have that perspective when the crap hits the fan?
It just occurred to me, in the last year I've heard about, like, the Pomodoro method. It's it's like setting a timer for like 25 minutes, focus on an activity, timer goes off, 20 or 25 minutes, and then you spend 5 minutes just shifting gears, unwinding, relaxing. And so I would like to suggest to everybody, if I'm hosting a laughter hangout sometime soon, have your little, take your little iPhone, the recording device that you have on your phone, and when some hearty laughing is happening, click open the mic to record it, okay? Like group laughter. And then when you decide to take a break, play the laughter. I mean, people can do anything, but because laughing does trigger more laughing, and if you hold the decision or the intention, I could lighten up. I could lighten up every hour. You'd probably be surprised, but like anything else, it just takes a decision. And you have to decide, do I want to do it with somebody else, or can I do it on my own? So that's one idea.
I like that one. Robin? Sorry, I jumped in.
I love the word outrageous, and I think what we think of as outrageous, if we went to outrageous, we would probably still wouldn't be all the way to outrageous if we tend to be a little bit sort of quiet or whatever. So I think a way to liven things up in business, to keep it playful, is to have an intention to bring in outrageous at some point, to even surprise yourself. Do something different, break it up. And I like the Pomodoro method. Timed breaks to do something different and to do something fun, to do something light, maybe to go and laugh with yourself, or surprise somebody, do something. Maybe just say hello. That could be a surprise. But I think timed, intentional breaks with the idea that I'm going to just change this up, and what could I do that would be outrageous? What dare yourself even? What could I do that would be outrageous for me? Don't think too much about it. Just go do it.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes life fun. That's the spontaneity that we have as children. That's the curiosity. Our belief systems limit us to doing things a certain way, and that's what's so crazy great about curiosity and wonder. That question, I wonder, and I think that the best defense against our belief systems or our BS is I wonder. So I think incorporating that into our day is a great way in business.
Hey, Robin, I'm so glad to hear you say the word wonder, because it may have been Abraham Hicks or somebody else suggesting, if you're holding a vision for the emergence of, a project, something to come into form in a helpful way that's part of your business or service or something, you might have on like a placemat or a piece of paper, like, I wonder how the universe is going to come up with this. And as you write on this paper, my introduction to my Hangout Foundations course for the Laughter Yoga community, I wonder how the universe is going to come up with this. I wonder what's going to greet me to support the evolvement of this project, for example. But just I wonder how the universe is going to come up with this. And then it takes you off the hook of thinking, A, you have to figure out everything by yourself right now, and you're back in that play mode of getting curious, to keep your eyes open. If I relax into my life, into my business, that what is truly going to be helpful is going to show up to support me, because I'm here on the planet to deliver my good gifts, so we can all live together in more grace, more harmony, more comfort, more play.
All right. I got to interrupt. We've been having a conversation in the back end of this event about this comment that I've just put up on the screen. And I gotta say, Carmen just cracks me up. This is
That's
well,
awesome.
I don't do it for the same reason. I actually love shopping, and the funny thing is, Cheryl doesn't. So as soon as I read this, I thought, oh yeah, well Cheryl would love this, which then becomes interesting because, oh yeah, comment tracker, come on, play nice. Cheryl commented this before we got it up, and then we have this coming from Carmen, and you know, I mean, I'm a HOA producer guy, but people. I think it would be so outrageously fun to get a whole bunch of people in different stores all over the place on their cell phones, connected to a Hangout, and just start dancing.
A flash mob. But it would
An
be
HOA worldwide flash mob.
All right, your project, should you decide to accept it.
I love that. That would be great. And that's the thing we have to agree, though, is that those of us who have children, we absolutely have to have our children there so they are dead from embarrassment about mom dancing in the store. Because it's only good if you embarrass somebody else.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
This picture, I don't know if you guys saw, Adam just put up a picture of some earmuffs. Okay. Guys, when this came up, I thought that was his belly, and the Ray-Ban arm was a belt. And I'm like, what?
What is that?
Where did this long hair across his chest come? Yeah.
Hey, Stephanie and Dennis, I'm going to put on my camera off for a minute because I want to get a prop that I think will be important to share. I'll be right back.
Okay.
You got it.
Well, and while we're talking about Adam, it's very funny because when we were talking about the Pomodoro method, this is what I love. Adam, he's
a riot, isn't he?
He comes up with what was it he said? I prefer the marinara method to the Pomodoro method.
Yeah, and you know, I read that one wrong too. I don't know what it is about me not getting Adam today, but I read that marijuana method. I'm like, what? I don't get the correlation. Then I had to reread it.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh my gosh. Well, and I think see, it's so funny because we're here and we could have gotten all nervous about we didn't know what we were going to say yet or whatever, and then we all just kind of started cracking up, and I feel better. I don't know what I'm going to say next, but I feel better about it.
You know what? Really, truly, we never know what we're going to say next. Every single moment is a new and fresh moment. We delude ourselves into thinking we know what's coming. It really don't. You know, that moment has never come before. So it's all creating in the unknown.
So is that a money hat?
Ooh.
This is my money hat.
Money.
Nice.
This is my money hat.
Is it funny money? I'm sorry, I cracked myself up.
So, last month I was in Los Angeles. I was doing a presentation at the Laughter Yoga, Laughter Wellness Conference about, you know, bringing hangouts into the laughter community to help unite this global movement and get more people laughing online. And there was a vendor there, a woman who was selling wonderful hats. So one of them I thought was this money hat. And I thought, man, when I get uptight and I get into my scarcity mindset, I just got to go put on my money hat. And if I'm feeling like I'm too serious, then, you know, I might have to put on my jester hat.
Can I?
Yes.
Can I divulge where I first saw the jester hat, Elaine?
Yes. Go ahead.
So on Monday's show, we were having Gremlins again, just before the Who Are You? And Elaine pulled that hat out of nowhere and then just started laughing, and then all of us started laughing, and Elaine was the only one that was getting affected by the stress, but it was palpable. And then she just pulled that thing out and put it on her own head and started laughing, and we all started laughing, and Elaine felt better, and even the ones who weren't stressed, we all felt better than we did anyway. And anyway, yeah. So that's.
Oh my gosh!
I love turquoise so much, I had to buy a turquoise hat.
There you go.
Everybody needs to go to a costume store, get a couple hats. You need to shift, put on a different hat. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, if I were a jester, how would I look at this differently? If I had all the money in the world, how would I be looking at this circumstance right now? And pretend. You know, when I started doing the word play, a couple of years ago when I was in nursing at the hospital, one of the projects that I got involved with was helping the nurses at our hospital understand this theoretical nursing model that we were adopting as our nursing division was trying to gain this magnet status in nursing excellence. And so our theoretical framework was the Gene Watson caring method. And as I started word playing about care, I thought, well, if you're giving care, then you're tending to something. You're giving your attention. And then I started thinking, what are all the words that have tend in them? You've got pretend, you've got contend, you've got extend. And so winding this back into acceptance, think also about all the words that have C-E-P-T in them. We have accept, we have accept, which is like not and but. We have concept, and we have precept. Anyway, I'm just goofing on the words because that's what I like to do. But sometimes when we start looking at words and start playing with the different wrappers we put around certain phrases, we can glean a deeper sense of meaning. So back to pretend. Pretending, think about it. We think pretending for kids is fine. As we grow older, we tend to think of pretending like being phony, like to gain some ego advantage, pretense. But pretend in its best sense of playing is a very good thing to do. And all related to, getting back into a resonance of abundance, we have to be willing to feel that. What would that feel like? So, and now neuroscience is really looking at all of that. When we get in the feeling state, how helpful that is for shifting our experience.
Well, and something else that's interesting is if you can't imagine it happening to you, then how can it happen? Because what you've done is you've already said it can't ever be real. Which, why would you want to do that, right? Why would you set yourself a goal and then say, yeah, but I'll never get there? And so I think sometimes, as owners, we do cut ourselves off at the knees a little bit because we're like, well, I want my business, I want to do 6 figures in revenue next year. But then every single time we think about it, either it scares us, and so we just kind of push it away and we're like, oh, no, I don't want to think about that. Or it seems so big and we don't break it down into little steps that we actually believe we can do, that it's kind of like standing at the base of a mountain and looking straight up. Oh my gosh, I'll never get to the top. Well, okay, but you don't have to get to the top. You just have to take the first step. All you have to do is start climbing or, start walking. And I know it sounds easy, and I really suck at it, so please do not think I'm telling anyone what to do. But I think, you know, that's part of it too, is you actually have to, like you said, Elaine, pretend and imagine. Even if you don't like the word pretend, use imagine. Imagine what it would feel like when my business is 6 figures, or imagine what it would feel like if I got that really big project. Because I think sometimes we also dream of things and say those are our goals, but we don't actually really want that thing. What we want is something else. Like when I have a 6-figure business, people are going to respect me. Or when I have a 6-figure business, my husband can quit his job and then he's going to be happy with me. You know, we're looking for something besides what we say we're looking for. And so maybe if we try to imagine ourselves in that situation and we find it hard, maybe that brings us back to the work like you were talking about, Elaine, and we start asking ourselves, well, why am I so excited? You know, why do I want this thing so badly when I can't connect with the feeling I'll have when I get it?
Yeah.
Which leads me, Robin, let me not jump in. You're going to say something.
Yeah, Elaine and I were involved in a conscious language study group, and in this book called Conscious Language, I guess the Logos of Now, it talks about feeling the thing that we're envisioning in the words, feeling every word. When we stick with it long enough to where we actually feel the truth of each word, like just glue to it, you know, and just feel it, that's when we're somehow in a play sort of way, in an imagining sort of way, committed to it. That's when it can happen. You know, it's a visioning thing, but it's more than that. It's a being in it, which is somehow inhabiting it, just like a kid would put on dress-up clothes and be the princess, like being it in our imagination, feeling it, feeling what it would feel like, and then letting it come. And that's the allowing and acceptance.
So I want to jump.
Oh, it's not up yet. Carmen says, I don't think that we are looking for things, we are looking for feelings, which ties right into what you're saying there.
Yeah, we really are.
And Robin, at the beginning of this year, when I was first getting started with Hangouts, I thought a really safe way to do it would be to host something that wasn't completely public. So I happened to be on a hangout with Ifat Cohen, who was interviewing Danielle Laporte about a new book that was coming out at the beginning of the year called The Desire Map. And she mentioned that her following was so excited about this new book that some 500 people had already come forth volunteering to host book clubs for reading and exploring this self-inquiry tool called the Desire Map. So I thought, maybe I could host a Desire Map book club. And so I set up a community and had my contact information at Danielle Laporte's website, where people who are looking for book clubs could find them. And in my safe little private hangouts, I learned to use my Hangout technology and be a host. It was really good practice. But the most important thing that I really gleaned from that experience was this quote from the book. I hope everybody remembers this. Because if you're thinking, gee, if I get that client or that contract and there's going to be all that money, I'm going to feel good then. Why should you wait until then to allow yourself that feeling? Mm-hmm. So this is a quote from the book, and it's, the journey has to feel the way you want the destination to feel. And that's a conscious choice. So now, one of the ways I sometimes beat myself up is I find it difficult to make real concise pictures of the projects or the end game. I mostly want to just keep playing along the way and experiencing my abundance and not be really too attached about the form that it takes. And I, like many people, I've had a variety of careers in my life. My first work was in early childhood. I worked in daycare programs. This is in the 1970s. But before I began that work and I was finishing my college years, as I was reflecting on the most important thing that I learned from any course I took in college, it was this course which was about preschool education and setting up learning experiences for children, and particularly art experiences. It was like you put the media out there and you just let them play with it. They're not there to create models. Little kids, they're going to take their little paintbrush, dip it in the paint pot, put it up on the easel, and at first, they're just learning how to control the paint. If they mix different colors, they might notice what happens when the colors blend. They aren't concerned about making something. They're just in the experience of exploring it, playing with it. And so we were taught, it's the process, it's not the product. And so that awareness keeps coming back to me. It's really about being in the moment. And it's so interesting at this point in human history and in popular culture, we're actually talking about mindfulness, being aware of what's going on in every moment a lot. So I feel like there's hope for humankind.
Yeah, well, what's interesting about that, what came to mind when you were talking about it with the kids, is what they're really doing is enjoying the process of doing something new. Because they haven't gotten their minds, oh, this is what you're supposed to do to paint. This is what you're supposed to do to draw. This is how you do it right. Which is a word I hate.
For approval.
Right. Or this is how you get an A, right? This is the right way to do it. Which is terrible because I have school-age children, and please do not think that I don't want them to get A's. If you're watching my kids, A's. Everybody A's, okay? But I agree with you that as we get older, we're so ingrained in this notion of there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it, and we're afraid that we're going to get labeled so that we don't try new things and just say maybe there's a third way, maybe there's just a new way to do it.
And indeed, sometimes, we see entrepreneurs going out there and it's like, I just got this hunch to do it this way and this way. And it's, it's not the guy down the street's blueprint or formula. It's like, I don't know how to fit into that. I just have to do this. And might get plenty of objection from other people. How could you take that risk? Or what would other people think? Or, from my experience, that could never work. Well, do they see the whole picture? No. For that person's journey, what they need to learn, know, experience, create, it's their journey.
Yeah, and I think that's... Oh, go ahead, Dennis. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say yeah. So I'm done. Yeah.
And sometimes that's so hard, though, right? Because as owners, we want to be successful, but we don't take the time to figure out what that actually means for us, right? We want the success, but we don't really know what success looks like for us, so we're looking at other pictures out there and saying, oh, that looks close. And then sometimes we can work for 5 years and realize, oh, well, it was good for them, but it doesn't do anything at all for me. So now I got to start over or, try a different method. So, yeah, that's
and it. To me, it gets back to, how do you want to feel? How would you like to feel today? Would you like to feel joy today? Yes, you can. And, so why delay it? and look for the beauty around you right now, and look for the abundance right now, and dare to look at something with the curiosity of a child. Oh, what is this? And see something new that will propel you forward. You know, now I want to throw out a different topic.
Oh boy.
And it's related, but for a lot of people who are maybe leaving, conventional jobs, and maybe they can't hack it anymore, and they aren't clear about what to do, but maybe they have a strong feeling about what they enjoy, and it's a hobby. And then there's this transition from taking something that's a hobby and then kind of letting its form emerge in a way that's helpful, but that also could generate income or money. I mean, I am actually in this process of, kind of birthing my business and service. When I found out about Hangouts, it seemed to me that's where I think I fit for what I have to offer the world. I'm not really exactly sure what products or services to offer, and I get different ideas at different times. There have been, things that I have independently sold and services that I've offered to people in the past. But given this whole new arena of Hangouts that is so creative, I mean, for me right now it's a playground, and I'm just beginning to get the ideas of, how I might be monetizing more, But I'm here fully in this arena because I think I have something to offer. And it may be that someone will approach me and say, oh my God, you're so perfect for X, Y, and Z. And in the meantime, I'm playing, I'm residing in my abundance. And I'm letting it emerge as a process. And I have no embarrassment if somebody asks me how much money, I'm making this year or last year. I will keep it private, but it's not that much. But as we said earlier, my needs are met, and I'm open to absolutely receiving everything I need to be a healing presence in the world and a helpful presence. Yeah. And I'm staying curious every day, If a great ecological catastrophe happens, anything I might have been doing to earn money might be going out of the window for me and a whole lot of people. But do I have skills of service to be able to help people relax, shift out of fear? I absolutely do. That's why the whole laughter yoga thing is really so powerful, because a lot of shift is happening in the world right now, And we really have to find these creative, healing, and helpful ways to find unifying solutions, as Robin reminded me and captured me saying.
Well, and I really love how open, and that's a word I don't think we've used yet, but that's what I really admire in you, Elaine, is this openness to, I'm not saying it has to look like this. I'm not saying that the path to my success is going to be, first stop sign, turn left, and then go to the red light and turn right. I just know it's out there somewhere, and I'm willing to get on the path. And I'm willing to take the risks that I might have to double back, or I might have to change the direction along the way. Because I think a lot of people might be okay, although they have in their heads this idea of what the journey looks like. But I think the first time they hit a roadblock and they have to double back, that's when sometimes they go into the, oh, well, this wasn't a good fit for me anyway, so let me just go out there and see the road that somebody else created and jump on that one, because at least I know where it's going.
And each of us, you know, our business lives, our work lives, they really aren't completely separate from the other things that are happening in our lives. I mean, we have families, we have children, we have stuff that comes up with them. I mean, I have a conscious decision. I am a dutiful daughter overseeing the care of parents who are 95 and 96, and they're still living in independent living. So I see them a couple times a week, 3 to 4 times a week, from probably 3 to 5 or 6 hours, enjoying them, having fun with them, supporting them in the ways that they need so they can remain living as independent as possible. And so that's part of my service and my fulfillment right now. And they actually do send a little income my way that's very helpful for me now. And you know what? I don't have to disregard that and somehow feel like, you know, the way supply comes to me has to look like anything in particular. It's coming. My needs are being met. And I don't know, how long either of them will live. And I like being able to do hangouts, because if something really difficult happened, guess what? I could postpone a show. Not too hard,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very interesting, again, an interesting perspective, because I think when we start our business, that's what a lot of us are looking for, the freedom to spend our time the way we want, to take that 3-week vacation, or, never work between Christmas and New Year's again, or, whatever form that takes, and we lose sight of it, which is really too bad. I don't know, what do you think, Robin?
Yeah, I think so lose sight of, say again what we were losing sight of. It was drifting.
The reasons that we started our business in the first place. A lot of times it's for freedom, to have control of our time, to be able to spend time on family or hobbies or sports or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is why we start. We have a dream that we know how to do something, we can do it better than the little trap where we've been living. And a lot of times our business becomes another trap, because what we've talked about before, that how we've seen it done is how we do it again. And I think, how do we evolve that? And it's really about being true to ourselves, which requires a risk taking. Oh, that doesn't feel good, checking in. That doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel like me. But they say you have to do it. That's what the way the internet marketers say to do it. But it doesn't feel like me. I don't want to. Oh, well, so what do you do with that? I don't want to. So yeah, there's so much to talk about here. But I've been thinking a lot about acceptance again, and the idea that truly being ourselves and accepting ourselves, it's such a process and so important to us to be accepting of ourselves in our business, and checking in with what feels good, and then taking actions based on being truthful to ourselves, even if it does mean, like what Elaine is saying. Right now, I make space for my parents. Some money comes in for that. I make space for hangouts, and I have to be at beck and call. Sometimes it's going to go just like with us with kids. Sometimes we just have to say, oh, I can't do it today. But yeah, so I think that was pretty rambly, but that's the way it is in life. We have to, and acceptance is accepting ourselves, accepting what is, accepting what comes to us, and then because we are not resisting, the opposite of acceptance, we can, if we remember, and maybe we laugh a minute or two, we can remember to be playful in that, and then we start to access much more of what's possible for us, our divinity, our capability to create, our ownership, our authorship, all those magical things. And those did inspire us to take on our own businesses in the first place. So, and I want to say that I tried to play Elaine's game with wordplay, and the word that I find that lives inside of acceptance is peace. So something to think about is that an objective for being in acceptance is to allow ourselves to have a state of peace and to be us peacefully, so that then we can access all that's possible and move forward.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I really like that. Maybe that's why it's such a challenge for me. I don't know. Okay, so wow, we have gone. It's been a great discussion. I wasn't even looking at the time, although I see that we've gone way over time.
But we had permission to go over time, I might add, Stephanie.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. At about
do we want to keep
1 minute
going?
2, I asked everyone, and the audience was like, "Yeah, keep going. This is awesome."
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do we want to go ahead and give our closing thoughts, or are there any other subjects that we want to try to cover since we're going long?
So, I don't think we want to push our luck. I do want to go through the comments. The conversation has been so solid here that we haven't hit the comments the way we normally would. So I'm going to go through them fairly quickly. If any of the 4 of you have anything you want to say as I'm reading these, just feel free to stop me, but I'm going to move through them fairly quickly otherwise. Okay, so Cheryl said this early on. Acceptance equals loving what is. I love that. Now I can't even remember which of the 2 of you said that, but Carmen Mandich says, I see acceptance going hand in hand with respecting differences, which I totally loved. Definitely get those hormones moving in your body by doing exercise. And the best exercise for your whole body is laughter. Love that. Omi says, Cheryl Do, strange. I thought everybody sees it the same way. And for some reason, I thought I had pinned his comment from earlier on, and I didn't. Too busy to grab it again. But yeah, Cheryl and Omi had a conversation about the way in which he sees acceptance. Carmen, I really don't like shopping. Oh, we went through this one, but I still love it.
It's a great one.
Okay, we're jumping to here then. I know that I am on Google Earth since I waved at the car as it rolled by and jumped up and down. It was in Copenhagen. If you see it, let me know. You'll finally recognize me, the crazy person of Copenhagen. Carmen cracks me. Yeah.
We love Carmen. Thank you so much for being with us, Carmen.
Yeah, and there's another one that's just as funny coming up, I might add. So get your laugh on. All right. William showed up a little late because he was in another HOA, but great comments as always. Elaine Nieberding brings up a great point about learning with kids. But, and as always with William Rock, he always gets in some second thoughts or questions. But how do we do this with adults? I love exploring something new, and if I don't know it, I plan on learning it.
Well, I think it's time for a Laughing with Entrepreneurs show.
Ah! That could be interesting, yes. All right, so here we are. Great virtual friends through acceptance, Elena says. And, I mean, anytime I have Elena in the audience, I always know the show is just going to be fantastic. She's just so supportive and caring. And so it's cool to see her thanking us for being her virtual friend. But the truth is, I mean, I crowned her Bandwidth #1 fan back when I was running the Bandwidth show because she was there every week. She'd have to set her alarm in the middle of the night to do the shows, and she was there. And, you know, so shout back out to you for being a great virtual friend. William, I knew William would like this as soon as I heard it said. Great point. When a marketer tells you what you should do, does it fit in your life? Yeah, that was really Robin. A great point right there. And Carmen, this is the other funny one. This killed me. I think I stick out my tongue at the things I don't want to do. Has anyone noticed? You know, it's even funnier because now the new updated version of Comment Tracker puts in the picture as well.
Oh,
So,
cool.
you know, 2 months ago the picture wouldn't have been there, and so that's awesome. All right, so those are my comments. Yeah, let's step through closing comments. We're going to go Elaine, Robin, Stephanie, and me. That'll be the order. So, Elaine, take it away.
When you look at your business, when you look at your life, remember to add ing onto the word accepting so it stays fresh, it's in the moment, it's not just a concept, something you do. And just be willing to make friends and play with whatever's in front of you. Just be willing to make friends and then watch that shift happen in your feeling of balance, resolution, abundance, or maybe even joy.
Okay, you're up, Robin. Closing thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think play is a really fundamental piece of being alive, and in our businesses, if we can't have fun there, we can't be inventive and playful and childlike, what's the point? So yeah, stick your tongue out if you want, Carmen, and find and do what you want, and put dresses on backwards and go to work like that, because you can. But that's going to release the creativity and all the potential. Play.
Yep. I love that, and I just want to say thank you so much to Elaine and to Robin for being with us today and for letting us go a little long. Thanks to everyone in the audience as well. I think maybe my biggest takeaway is that there is a very close link between being able to find joy and to have fun in your business and acceptance. Because if you're able to reconnect with the joy and with those outrageous moments, as Robin says, it makes the situations that are difficult much easier to accept and maybe can help you turn them into something productive a lot more quickly than if you just let that notion of acceptance kind of sit on you as this heavy burden. Well, I just have to accept this. So I really appreciate everything you both have said today, and I am looking forward to applying some of these tips in the coming weeks. I'll let you know how it goes.
All right, and so this is the second week in a row I've done this. Who knows, maybe it'll become a tradition, but my closing thoughts I'm taking from the audience. Can my virtual friend and my imaginary friend be the same person? Hashtag get your laugh on. Oh, sorry.
We love you, Adam.
Dude, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff. Next week, we are bringing back, our word for next week is something that was an integral part of every episode in Season 1. So it's kind of like a bringing back the past episode. We're going to be talking all about breathing next week. Should be an excellent show. And I've learned, since last season, I've learned some new things about breathing that I'm really looking forward to sharing. We're going to have Kate Hanley on, and of course, Monday we will have our Who Are You with Kate, but it's at a different time. Stephanie, I can't remember what time it's at. I just know it's different.
Yeah, it's at 4:02 Eastern, which is 2:02 Mountain. And 1:02 on the West Coast.
The Deuce forgot 2:02.
Really?
Yeah. What's up with that? Anyway, yeah, so 2:02 on Monday, we're going to be filming the Who Are You with Kate, and you'll get to find out who her sidekick is. Don't know if the sidekick will actually be there for that. Do we, Stephanie? Do we know? Are we going to have sidekick?
We don't know yet. It's going to be a surprise.
Yeah, so still waiting on that. And it is now 2:02 right now, and Monday 2:02, which I'm just going to put it out there right now. I'm not doing my 5-minute show Friday or Monday. I'll probably do it on Monday at a different time because I knew in advance, but I got to go pick up my kids soon. So, yeah, no 5-minute how to increase your engagement. But thank you, everybody, for being here this week. Thank you so much, Elaine and Robin. You guys have been awesome to have. Stephanie, as always, the most amazing partner in crime I could ask for. We'll see you all next week.